Booby doop. Hello, everybody. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Where is the camera? There's the camera. Hello, everybody. What did the judge say to the dentist? Do you swear to pull the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth? Why do birds fly south for the winter? Because it's too far to walk. I mean, that's just fact. Hey, Jack, say Lycan. Good to see you both. Good to see you both. You're all in on all ego? Ethan Page, is that what is that you who you mean? So I saw he won. I saw he won the belt. Quite an interesting finish, I will say. But yeah, hope everyone had a good weekend. It's been a good couple of days. So, but we're back. We're back with more God of War Ragnarok. Let's see if I. Hey, that's better. All right. Let me pause the music and switch scene. Here we are. We're back with the God of War, the Ragnaroks. And this is where we left off. I just did some quick skill upgrade stuff, but this is where we are right now. We're about to head back to Sindri's house, I think. Oh. Is that where the treasure chest was this whole time? Neat. Huh, nice. Okay. I got a lot of stuff. Oh.
This crest. It's mine.
Oh. Rey's crest. Found 5 out of 6. That's not bad, actually. We got 4 hours sleep after Money in the Bank. No, well, not nice, but damn. Defense and luck.
Failure.
Failure. Thank you, Ben. Also, hi Ben. Hi Ben. How's your trip? I saw your picture you sent me earlier. I had a chance to respond to it. Blah, blah. We want to go back, don't we? Sindri's house. Sindri. How's everyone? How's everybody doing?
Well, brother, before you see the lad again, might we discuss an approach?
He will tell me where he has been. That is my approach.
Ah, classic Spartan diplomacy.
Wait. Did you say Odin invited him to Asgard and then he disappeared for 2 days?
Aye, but surely the lad's got more sense than to...
Don't underestimate Odin's powers of persuasion. He filled my son's head with lies. Why wouldn't he do the same with yours?
I mean, she's kind of got a point.
And you tell that one-eyed nutsucker he owes me one.
Thank me now and eternally.
Well, looky there. Glad you can make the trip, your goddessness. I put your sigil magic on the young turd's bow, but then he and Sindri got into it over something. I don't rightly know who's yelling at who in there, but I figure they both got it coming.
So they're arguing.
Come on, then. Hey, Tyr! Wake up! You got company. Now, why don't you just make yourself at home in Sindri's so-called study over yonder?
You're sure he won't mind?
Mine?
You were gone for 2 days, with nobody to watch your back. I'm your partner. We're not supposed to keep secrets.
You sound just like father.
I never
Whose
thought
side are
I'd
you
have the
on?
pleasure of
Whose
seeing
side?
you again, Frey.
I don't know. What does it even mean to
Don't
be on your
call me
side
that.
right now? How do I know you
haven't
won't
been
be
that
running off to
person in a
Asgard
long
next?
If I did,
But I'm
at
happy
least
to
I'd
see
be
you
somewhere
too.
I could make a difference.
Now that is
I'd
crazy
feared the
talk.
worst for so
That is
long.
the craziest of all possible talk.
Why? Odin
Nothing
had
so
the
bad
chance
as
to
what
kill
you
me,
suffered.
but he didn't.
Freya,
He offered to teach me.
I am so sorry.
Maybe
to
if I
hear
had
what
more
happened
answers,
with Baldur.
I could prevent.
Prevent what?
He was only a
What
boy
is
when
this
I saw
about?
him last,
It doesn't
but I
matter.
know he meant more to you than
Just
anything.
let it go, okay?
But you were gone for 2 days. With
You better screw his head back on, and I mean tightly.
Ooh.
Oh, you're back.
Are you ready to answer me?
About what?
Where did you go? Who did you see? Was it Odin?
What? Is that what you think?
Do you deny it? Answer me! Did you go to Asgard?
No! Of course not! But so what if I did? It's my future, it's my life.
You are
Oh
my son.
god, not this
Why don't
fucking.
you trust me?
If you want me to trust you, then tell me the truth.
The truth is you're being a complete asshole.
Laddie, you know that's no way to change a man's mind.
He doesn't have any faith in me. It's fine if he keeps secrets. It's fine if Mom did.
It is not fine. Her secrets haunt every step of this path.
Oh, okay. So you don't believe in her anymore either?
This is not about your mother. What you have done is lie.
Wonder where I learned that.
That's quite enough.
Since when do you always take his side?
Since he became the one making sense.
Look, I was only thinking about going to Odin. But I swear there's
Oh.
no good reason.
There is no good reason to go to Odin.
He'll only cloud your mind.
But I'd be going for us. I can stop something bad
Oh
from happening.
no.
Something bad did happen. Look at me, at Freya, at Tyr. Odin did this to us.
What's got everyone caterwauling all of a sudden?
Atreus wants to go to Asgard.
Asgard? Get kicked in the head or something?
Bro.
I guess everybody's against me now.
You must choose who you are going to be. Are you going to continue to lie and keep things from me? Or are you my son?
Choose? I never get to choose. Just leave me alone.
Listen.
Let go of me!
Listen!
I said let go!
What the fuck?
Atreus! It's Sindri. Just try to keep control!
I didn't like him in the first game, and he's starting to piss me off already.
Great.
Yeah, that's how I think about playing you as you again. That piece of shit.
Lots of Hellwalkers! Definitely in Midgard.
Oh, shocker.
Yep. Home sweet home. Keep it coming. You're just helping me stay warm.
He's turning into Loki, isn't he? Really turning into Loki, huh? Can you stop attacking, please? Jesus fucking Christ. You turn any way home, Moshi, so this can we can use him shenanigans if we want. Cool. Sounds like a plan. God damn it, Atreus. Why'd you have to be such an asshole?
Gotta find some shelter.
Oh, now you start making some sense. Yeah, good luck trying to prevent Ragnarok, dude. He's blind to the truth. He's blind to...
When did it get so bad out here?
He's blind to seeing all the to see the real problem here, which is Odin. Oh,
At least something out here doesn't want to kill me.
and I like crows.
Just need someplace warm. Then I can figure out where to go next.
The runaway.
That doesn't look good. What is this thing? Some kind of white?
I'm using. Oh, well, alright.
What is it you want?
Contend with wolf. Fuck you. It said. Come on, dude. Hey, are we good? We're good. Jesus.
More ravens.
I wonder who that.
Tell me something.
Yeah, Odin wants to get you on his side so that Ragnarok can be prevented and Odin can rule the world. Just simple stuff, you know? Simple stuff a blind person can see. You know? Maybe I'm getting too vested in the story now. It's just like, come on, dude.
First, he thinks I've been to Asgard. Then, lying.
I mean, you kind of have, because you didn't tell him where to go, where you've been.
I'm trying to save your life, you big jerk.
Yeah, but are you going to tell him that? He hasn't told him.
Gotta get out of the hole.
He hasn't told one Kratos that he's going to die. Oh. The fact that even Sindri was just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? That's when you know you've done wrong. When Sindri's even like, nah, fam, you fucked up, son. Yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend, because I know I haven't streamed since Thursday? No? I think it was. Yeah, Friday I just kind of just took it off because there was like I was watching the football and stuff. And then Saturday wasn't feeling too great in the evening, so I just kind of chilled. And then Sunday just kind of same thing happened. So I ended up playing First Ascending with Joker. So that was quite fun. Not a bad game. I say to myself, savage. Hello. Coming in hot with the GameCube. Yeah, I played a little bit of First Descendant, and it's not bad. It's definitely a Destiny clone. like 100% a Destiny clone. Like if people don't say that, then they're just being stupid, or they haven't played Destiny before. But it's definitely a Destiny clone. It's like a mixture of like Destiny, like Warframe, I suppose, and like in terms of like how you unlock the characters, this kind of reminds me of like a gacha game, like Genshin, sort of style.
I find shelter and then what? Where could I go?
Destiny wishes it was Borderlands. I know, right?
I
Imagine.
go to Asgard, following the prophecy where Father ends up dead. If I stay locked up at home, there's nothing I can do to stop it. I guess in Asgard, I could at least keep an eye on Odin. Be a spy. Find out his plan. Get control of this.
Oh, Atreus, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Yeah, I said it.
Oh, who
I mean-
am I kidding? I can't go to Asgard.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like, I think a lot of the problems with
Wait, are
First
those red
Descendant,
Freya's house.
I think a lot of the problems with First Descendant is the fact that there's a lot, and I mean a lot of like mobile game, gacha game levels of microtransactions.
Charlie?
Oh, the tortoise. Oh no.
No. Charlie. Please. Please. Charlie. Hey, big guy. I'm here now. Don't you worry. I need to get you warm. You're gonna have to stand to let me into that house. Think you can do that? Come on, Charlie. You have to do this.
Gross.
I can't help if you don't. Emily! Emily! Good. Good boy.
That's one way to do it, I suppose.
What a mess. I know, buddy. I know. It's cold in here. Should close that window if we're snooping around.
Yeah, probably should.
Freya hasn't been checking on you? Right. Too busy hunting us down. Come on. Let's get you warmed up. Should be able to make a fire from all this mess.
Alrighty.
Valkyrie armor? Does this go with the wings on the wall? From her friend? Wonder what happened to her.
I can really talk for myself. I do find it hard to recommend games to other people.
All
I don't know if other people will connect with said game. It's
I wonder how Father was able to earn her forgiveness.
it's one of those games I find. I can say that I had fun, but I don't know if someone else will find it fun. I think it's one of those games where you'll find it fun for like a day or two when it's popular, and then when it's dead, and then when there's not a lot of people playing it, you're like, it's just kind of there.
Realm in Vanaheim? She must have really missed it.
I don't know. It's one.
I can't believe she never came back to check on her house. To check on you. That's not an excuse.
I think at the moment it's obviously because it's popular and there's people playing it. I enjoyed it for a little bit. I think if you have other people playing with it as well,
Welcome.
I mean, the good thing is it's free and it's crossplay, so that's something at least.
Where do I go now? I can't stay. I just can't let my dad die too.
Evie, how you doing, buddy?
There's gotta be something I can do. It's okay, buddy.
Wonder who that
He's
is.
here for me. I'll be okay. I think.
Udi, what's an Udi? Oh no.
Okay. I'm ready. Take me to him.
Oh dear. Atreus, you little fool. And just like that, he's in Asgard. Is it hot down there in Wales? I mean, I'm just hot generally, anyway. Oh. Which Udi would you like, GB? The blue one or the blue one or the Star Wars one? Oh look, he's in Finland. Well, there's the bridge of Asgard, at least.
Should have learned to swim before Midgard froze over. Hello? I'm here. Odin?
Follow Odin's Raven.
Is this Asgard?
Plains of Ida.
Hey, wait up!
Oh, Welsh. Ah. Okay, let me go grab it. Give me a second. There we go. The Udi is on. I'm already warm.
Whatever this is, it's beautiful. Not a sign of Fimbulwinter. The wall! This is Asgard. Hold on, I'm coming.
Grimth's wall.
Oh, you don't seem friendly.
Of course not. You know, Angerbo just said, like, look, once you know what your destiny is, it's consequence to try and changing it. So maybe this is maybe this is going to be his consequence to try and. But maybe this is going exactly how it was foretold or planned. Atreus going to Odin thinking he'd like spy on him and, you know, work undercover, but gonna go wrong? No worries, man, no worries. That's me. I mean, and it makes sense to have an Atreus section, because we just had, last stream we had Freya and
It's beautiful here.
Kratos, so.
Fimbulwinter.
No. Crazy, innit? Not one iota of Fimbulwinter.
I better keep heading towards the wall. You could have led me around those.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's not going to be good, is it? Let's be real. It's not going to be. It's not going to be good. Whatever happens at this point. Ooh, a dealing. Ooh. Honk.
Yeah, danger. I know. Got it. I see him. Chiappa.
Bum, 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 ba-dum. You had a good weekend, Joseph. Hope it was good. And anybody else? And anybody else has popped in? Okay, and we progress.
What am I gonna say to Odin? Hi. I came to be your apprentice, I guess. But it doesn't mean I, like, serve you now. Not in a foretold by prophecy kind of way.
But, like, isn't the whole point of an apprentice is that you serve under a master? I don't see Atreus' logic here. I don't know if that's just a me thing that just thinks that, but. Hey. Oh. Oh, politics. In Bifrost.
Bet it's safe from the other side of that wall. Wait, how do I get past the wall? I never came up with a mere story about Hrimthur. The stonemason's son built a flaw into it. He only told Frey about it, and I didn't think to ask. Hold on, why was Frey at the house? Did she move in with us? You know what? Focus, Loki.
It's like he's got split personality disorder. There's Atreus and then there's Loki. No? I don't know if that's me that's just observing that, but that's what it feels like. Anyway.
Father would just burn this away with his blades. But what can I do? Huh. Maybe that sigil magic on my bow can help. What did Brock say? Helka! If I could just get that fire to spread to the bramble.
Oh my god, what the fuck is this?
Helka!
There we go.
There we go.
Why that was such a pain in the ass. Anyway. Let's continue. There just happened to be a campfire. Just there.
Wait. That sounds like people.
You might be right.
You need help? You look a little lost.
Oh. I'm just getting my bangs.
Well, there's nothing to see this way except the big wall.
Is there a gate to go through?
Nope. Not unless you're an Aesir god, but I guess you'd know that if you were an Aesir god.
Me? No. I'm from Midgard.
What? No shit. Me too. I'm Skildir.
Lucky. Hang on. Are you all from Midgard?
Yep. The All-Father saved us from the desolation. Gave us a safe place to settle, but we don't go in there. Can't get into the city unless you know magic. You don't know magic, do you?
A little bit, yeah.
What? No shit. You walk through walls?
Not yet.
Huh.
Couldn't I just climb over it?
That? Without any gear? No. Aren't you afraid of dying?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at that.
That's a big old wall.
Odin awaits.
Wait. You know the All-Father?
I'm sort of his apprentice.
No shit! What is he teaching you?
I'm not sure.
Well, how many other students?
I don't know.
How long you stayed? You don't know. Okay.
You don't know. Okay.
I'm gonna go climb that wall now.
I don't like his demeanor.
This I gotta see. Need help?
Appreciate it.
I don't like this dude. I don't like his demeanor at all. It's like he's been. It is like he's been mind controlled.
Owed in my life, but I don't owe him my death. Not that I think you're gonna fall. Forget I said anything.
You know, it's
Hugin? Is
definitely.
Guide?
Who?
Odin's Raven. You know, from Hugin and Moonin. Pretty good guy. Though, not sure he'll know too much about climbing.
You know, it just obviously because he knows.
Seem like a good guy. I really hope I am not about to watch you die.
Thanks. Me too.
Because of his prophecy and all that, he thinks, "Oh, I can do something if I try and be Loki.
Look down, right?
I
I could save
down.
Ragnarok. I could save
Shows
my
me how much
father."
progress I've made.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Can I use that? I mean, a little ironic last words, but
What was that?
nothing. Yeah, nothing great.
His last words. We did great. Nothing wrong with that at all. You know, if you want to make that on your gravestone, then be my guest.
You can do it, Loki.
Thanks, Gilder. Hope you're right.
Wonder. That's a big old nail.
Okay, I can do this. This is fine. Just keep climbing. And now where?
It's just his Loki's all. He's like, oh yeah, I got this.
Don't suppose you'd like to pass the time by telling a story, would ya? Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say.
No, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go over here and no, just do just talk to Odin, manipulate him, and be his apprentice and stop my father from dying. Job done. It's like, yeah, if only it was that simple. Shockingly, this game is not going to be that simple. Otherwise, this would be the end game. It's not the end game. Can you not, please?
Yeah, I'm coming. Let's keep that chain down.
Can't stop. Can't stop, please. I want to grab it. Now it thinks about it. Yeah.
I wonder why I can't hear your thoughts. Sure seemed like Odin could. That was you in our cabin, right? You and your brother, I guess? Taking that for a yes. Breathe. And... yes! I bet I'm past the worst of it now.
Yeah, I was a fool. Like sweet innocent child.
Wanna just let me pass through? No? Have it your way. Yappa!
Like sweet innocent child. There goes the totem. Nice, got some health back. Really want to do that, but okay. It's fine, I guess.
Yeah, up. I get it. Whoa. Okay. These are connected. Yeah, that makes sense. I think. Gotta do both sides though.
Okay, I was like, am I gonna die? I thought I was gonna die for a second. Oh, he's dead.
Nice. It's Might work.
Whee!
Here we go.
One way to get up high, I suppose.
Made it. Ah! Woke up more wind. Yappa!
Fucking Bifrost. Really Bifrost.
Hey, you get to fly. I'm doing what I can.
What if it's gonna be like a meanwhile, you know?
I don't see any more shortcuts. Just gotta
No?
climb a
Like
little
meanwhile,
further.
Kratos is like chasing
Maybe
Atreus.
a lot further. But I've come this far. Hey, Hugin. How about I tell you a story? Once there was a giant named Loki who thought it'd be a good idea to accept Odin's invitation to Asgard. So, Odin tested Loki, expecting him to climb by himself all the way up Hrimthur's wall. So, what did Loki? Ah! So what did Loki do? He kept climbing.
Because that's how stupid he is.
Just kept climbing. His arms hurt. His fingers went numb. It got hard to breathe. Loki kept climbing. One foothold at a time. All the way to the top.
This is not gonna end well, is it? It's just not.
Nowhere to go but up. Okay, okay. Keep going. Come on. Can't stop now.
He's doing better.
Ah! Come on.
Bro. Like, come on.
Okay. I can do this. I can do this. Almost there.
It's very impressive how well he's doing.
Hello.
Hi.
So, what part of the enormous wall made you think, oh, visitors must be welcome?
I was sent for, actually. By Odin?
The Allfather sent for you. Ha! Great. Then why are you out there? And not in here?
Why don't we ask them together? Ah!
Interesting fellow.
Are you finished? Now, what could Odin, Allfather, King of the Aesir, possibly want with the likes of you?
That's between me and Odin.
You don't even know, do you?
Think you could pull me up, or...
No, I don't think I will. I think maybe I'll drop you.
No. No.
Yes, I'm going to drop you. Goodbye.
Wait. Think how mad the Allfather's gonna be when he finds out you killed his guest. Loki of the Jotnar?
The Jotnar. Enemy of my people.
I am not your enemy.
I will be the judge of that.
Got away with one there, didn't he, Loki? Atreus? Because, you know, he used his ways. Oh, that's what Loki does. He manipulates and tricks his way into, you know, situations.
Is that Gallarhorn? Are you Heimdall?
Obviously.
What?
Now feel free
Heimdall.
to drink in the splendor of Asgard. This is a rare sight for outsiders, especially giants. Yes, why not steal anything that is not nailed down? That is sure to impress your hosts.
Listen, I need the money, so...
Just ask your questions already.
How'd you know I had questions?
It is my job. Next question.
What is your job?
I protect the realm I love from trouble.
And you think I'm trouble? You just met me.
And I can already see you are eager to prove yourself. Way too eager. Probably due to an overshadowing father figure you can never live up to.
Good guess.
I would also guess that you are disrespectful, entitled, and impulsive.
You don't know me at all. I help people.
Oh.
I mean, he's
are
kind of right.
help people. No. No. You are here to help yourself. To manipulate and lie to whoever you have to get what you want. I know you're young. Your voice probably dropped while you were climbing the wall, but what a twisted little soul you have. You are chaos in a spiffy archer suit. I watch your mouth move and I see cities burning. Nothing good is going to come from you being in Asgard. That said, if you are here to aid the Allfather and have no treacherous intent, I guess that makes us allies.
It's like he knows. It's like Heimdall just already knows that he's gonna be an absolute prick. You know, and cause mayhem.
That's almost as impressive as Baldur taming a dragon.
Baldur had the luxury of not caring how badly he got burned. I outthink them. Dominate them fair and square.
So is Heimdall brother?
Are these all Aesir
Balder's
gods?
brother?
What? You think all Aesir are gods?
But Skilder told me that
Oh,
only...
well, if Skilder told you, clearly whoever that is must be the authority on Aesir gods, not the Aesir god you are currently talking to. You literally know nothing of our culture, do you?
I know lots of things. I know a giant built that wall.
A giant built the wall that keeps out the giants.
Hrimthur, son of Thalmor. I know the whole story.
Really? I truly cannot wait for you to regale me with the revisionist tales of Asgard's architectural history.
Is that Odin's palace?
Palace. Do you think the All-Father needs to puff himself up like some mortal chieftain?
I guess not.
That is the Great Lodge, which the All-Father built with his own hands. I'm sorry if that is a letdown for you. Real power, you see, does not need to flaunt. It emerges when the time is right. Don't you agree? Ha! Hey! Whoa! Hey, helmets! I brought you a practice now.
I thought we were going to Odin!
You see, the thing is, you have treacherous intent. So I am not letting you anywhere. See all...
I say, like, does Atreus really think that, like, no, Heimdall, like all the Aesir gods are like, yeah, we're just gonna let this guy in, Loki in, because, you know, they've probably seen that he sides with the giants, and, you know, he's sided with, you know, prayer and all that stuff. So, like, surely they saw this coming.
That was boring. Guess who's next?
bother waiting?
Funny thing, I am sure about that. Yes, I am feeling very sure, matter of fact.
Oh, we find Heimdall? Oh shit.
Whoa! Whoa! How is he doing that? Oh! Not even close!
I think like he's kind of like Hermes then.
Is this all you got? How have you survived this long?
You're not gonna stop me from seeing Odin!
You'll be seeing him from your grave.
What? That doesn't even make sense!
Ah! Good boy! That is what he deserves! Is that it? Is this all you have to show me, Jotun? Oh no! Arrows! Ow! Here, son!
I kind of like Heimdall. Not gonna lie, I kind of like Heimdall.
I do have
I think he's quite funny.
I am profoundly unimpressed. You should probably stay down. Great.
Knock it off.
Oh, hey Thor.
Like it or not, he's Allfather's guest.
I thought I smelled something.
Take one more step, you're not gonna like how this ends.
Oh, look at it. Look at Thor's belly. Holy shit.
You intend to stop me.
Look into my eyes. You tell me.
You are a sick man.
Loki, you made it. I am so honored. I see you've met Heimdall. He reads minds for me.
The boy is false, Allfather.
Oh, he's a mind
The
reader.
man who is my guest is covered in mud. Care to explain?
He means to betray you.
Is that true, Loki? You a little trickster? I'm just messing around. Of course he means to betray me. Heimdall? Why else would he come? I've given him no reason to trust me. Not yet. But he's got some very big questions. And I have so many answers to give. What are you up to? Dismissed. Go.
Oh, look at that belly. Jesus Christ.
You, clean yourself up.
But Allfather,
Oh, Heimdall, will you just relax? Were you intending on killing me first thing? See? What, that's not good enough for you? Get out of here. He's a lot, I know. Very perceptive, but sometimes he just forgets to think, you know? Hey, I got some places to be. So how'd your father take the news that you decided to accept my invitation?
I don't think we should talk about my father.
Not well, huh? Can't blame him. Between my ex-wife and my disgruntled former employee, he's not exactly getting an unbiased view. But you're curious, open-minded. That's important. Priest, Meest, carry on. Pretend I'm not here. If I'm being honest with you, Loki, you're lucky my offer still stands after you went and sprung Tyr. But I suppose spending time with him is punishment enough, isn't it? At least Mimir never lost his sense of humor. But look, that's all behind us now. I like to keep looking forward. Hey! I want them trained, not decapitated. Just keep it below the neck, all right? Is that really what you do when I'm not here?
Allfather,
Queen Gná.
the Einherjar are ready for your blessings.
That's why I'm here, isn't it?
Guess there's a new Valkyrie Queen.
Great soldiers, these Einherjar. They tend to come out of Valhalla a little foggy. I do what I can for them, help them remember who they were in life. That's important, don't you think? A sense of identity gives things meaning. Moon feet.
Just pausing it because there's an outbreak. Yeah, well, I pulled mute it, but. Oh, apologies for that. I'm gonna take this hoodie off because I am roasting. Oh, dear me. Wow. I am beyond warm. Ugh. In Loki's defense, he thought Odin invited him, made him welcome there. True. But you know what Odin's like. Deceptive man. I love how Heimdall was like, he's gonna betray you, mind. He's like, I know. He doesn't trust me. And it's like, I don't know, I think Odin already knows that he can't really, unless Odin knows that Loki, Atreus has seen the prophecy and he's seen that Kratos dies, and he thinks I can manipulate him to make him believe that he cannot get his father to die, sort of thing. It's just like Thor from Endgame, exactly. Roasting like a pig on a rotisserie. I mean, pretty much. Oh, you'll be pleased to know, Jax. I may have purchased some loaded pepperoni pizza Doritos. So I'll be munching on that in a little bit. Whew, right, okay, welcome back from the other, everybody. Let's continue on. So we're now... Like... Mention to him what you think of them? Yeah, I'll try them and see what... I'll give you my opinion.
Good. Those are for him. I understand you're an avid reader. These are just a few things from my personal collection.
Thanks.
Jurgen, those better not be mushrooms I smell.
Listen, I appreciate your offer, but I'm really not sure what you're expecting from me.
Right now, you're just visiting, Loki.
Appreciate the follow. Thank you.
But with all
come on in.
respect, you need to know, I came to study, not to serve.
Another servant is the last thing I need. I need someone with drive, with curiosity, someone who'll take initiative. That looks good. Is that braised?
But why me? Is it because I'm half giant?
Big deal. So's Thor. Erlen, try to stay awake for me.
Okay, but...
Look, don't overthink it. I have a project I think you'll be interested in. A major learning opportunity. For both of us.
What about my family? My friends? I need to know nobody's gonna get hurt.
Why would I hurt anybody? A truce is all I've been asking for from the start, if you recall. Look, you're here now. Stop worrying. It's all gonna be fine. Almost
Yeah, I mean, when him and Thor turned up, they said, "Don't if you don't go after Tyr, then
look around as you please. You're not my prisoner.
you'll cease fire. We'll cease fire."
I'm not your father.
Allfather, there's a situation that needs your attention.
Sif,
Oh.
You missed welcoming our new house guest. Say
He's
hello
hot.
to Loki.
This is him. Here. In our home. How nice.
My diplomat.
My
All
diplomat.
Right in New Midgard.
He's cool.
The refugees are fine. The situation is with the dwarves. You know who is back.
Yeah, it's always something. Put those books down. We got another stop to make.
Sure.
Meeting Sif was really uncomfortable. She was so actually told me outside of worry, which she knew what I did to Modi. I know nobody saw that. It's bad enough that she blames father, and now I'm in her home. I know what's good for me, I think, and I think I do. I'll just stay out of her way. Oh yeah, because Modi was her son. I thought that was Thor's son.
All right. I'm here. Where is he?
Just over there, Allfather.
From the Warriors 3. Yeah. Oh, it's him.
It's been too long. What's the issue now?
No issue at all if you're trying to build volatile death traps.
I approve these designs personally, and not all that recently, I might add. Did you just wake up with the urge to be a pain in my ass?
Yeah. Who's
Dylan.
the hurt? You training pickpockets?
You know what, Derlin? You reek of cheap mead, and that is by far your most endearing characteristic. Now listen up. It's me, your entire economy, speaking. I want you to know that I have confidence in you. Confidence you can deliver me these machines as promised, on time, on budget, and, of course, safely. The dwarves have never let me down, and they're not about to start now. Right? Good.
It's all, it's all like, oh, I'm just being nice and I'm giving you books and all this, and it's like,
When you're ready to get to work and start getting those answers, meet me in my study down the hall.
there's an underlying evil there.
And help yourself to a change of clothes.
There's definitely an underlying Issa uniform.
Guess I could try this on. Has less mud on it anyway.
Issa bow. Runic recharge.
I can use this. Nicely equipped. What needs work?
Warrior's Instinct increases status damage. Abilities and runic summons have reduced cooldowns. Oh yeah, we'll take that. A bow fit for a Prince of Asgard. Reckless Empowerment. All damage dealt is increased while runic arrows are fully depleted. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Polished Sunstone, pulsing with unbridled fury. Resources. I'll do. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. That's actually kind of nice. I can't lie. That's very nice. I'll wear it, of course. Makes sense to wear it for this part of the story. You go meet. Oh, hello.
Whoa! Loki, right? Gotta say, the irony of this isn't lost on me. This was his room, you know?
His?
My brother's.
Your brother?
Modi?
Oh.
Ah, your brother. Really? I had no idea.
Uh-huh. And now it's yours. Enjoy. Daughter. Relax. You've got some pretty small shoes to fill.
That's Modi's sister. Rude. So Thor's son? Thor's daughter?
We're better off without him, Loki. Trust me.
She's cool.
Walk with me.
Can I pick up your sword? Do you need it?
Don't forget your sword.
She's like, I'll just grab it.
Someone will clean that up.
just ignore that hole in the floor. Fine. Don't worry about it.
So, what kind of sword is that?
It's new. One of a kind. My father gave it to me for Valkyrie training.
You're in Valkyrie training?
Got time to talk about it? I was just heading to the Great Hall. But if you need to go to work, Grandfather's study is just down those stairs.
Don't have to go there now?
How do you become a Valkyrie?
First, I train till I'm the best I can be. Then I wait till Grandfather notices. And then I hope he and my dad can convince Mom it's okay.
You know, my father and I, we encountered a whole bunch of Valkyries.
Wait, what? Where? Promise to tell me everything.
I promise.
Mother, did you meet Loki?
Oh, now he's got you involved with this?
Involved with what? I'm being friendly. Isn't that diplomacy?
You understand who this is, right? What his father did? Why does he want him here?
Mom! Come on, you're embarrassing
me.
We'll talk about this later.
If you keep discussing this in her earshot, absolute idiot. I must have done something.
Sorry about her. Mom's, right? So, did you want to look around some more, or do you really need to get to work?
We can look around some more, probably. I don't know.
Please do not involve me in your pathetic attempts to impress one another.
Huh?
Come on. You haven't had enough Heimdall in your day? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Listen, whatever Grandfather is having you do, remember, this is your chance to prove yourself. That's all that some of us want.
Oh, yeah. I'll try to do some good.
Catch you later.
I don't think Atreus knows exactly the gravity of the situation he's just dumped himself in.
Yes. Do you see me nodding and saying, yes, I understand? Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, all right.
He's talking to the crow.
You see, this is you not letting me talk. No, Hugin, I don't need my ears cleaned. I need you to stop croaking and accept the answer you know I'm about to give.
You just pick up a scroll about Gjalhorn? Interesting. Whoa.
I was just looking at this.
That old thing. I've had that since... Who can remember?
Whoa.
You have a name?
Ingrid.
Really?
Sure, why not? Take it, if you like it that much.
For real?
Consider it a perk of the job.
Thank you. I mean, really.
And they say I'm the bad guy. Come on, let's walk.
Maybe that's what he does. He makes you believe that he gives you something to say, like, hey, I'm being nice.
You're welcome.
And then he'll do that for a little bit, and then the underlying
You think war
evil.
drives me, or power, wealth? Nah, never have. You know what drives me?
Smart.
What I really want? I want answers. Same as you. See, mortals have it easy. When they push up against life's big questions, they can look to us to give them meaning, divine comfort. We both know that's a sham. But when we have questions, why are we here? To give meaning to mortals while living without it ourselves? No. We're more than that. And I found something that proves it.
What is it?
It's what drives me. You feel it, don't you?
Feels like knowledge. Truth.
All truth. All the answers. We could find out why we're here, learn how to change our fates, stop Ragnarok for good, maybe. Save the people we love.
Saying all the right words. He's saying all the right words.
Young God, when I found it, spent lifetimes studying it, following every clue down every dead end, looking for and finally unearthing this. You see that? It shares the same mystical energy.
It opened a crack. Can we just look inside?
I wouldn't recommend that.
I wouldn't. No. Oh, that's why he lost his eye.
What's the broken mask for?
Basically.
Recognize any writing on it?
These aren't from the Nine Realms. Smolder. Obsidione Spitha. From smoldered earth and obsidian spark. And a field of battles never fought.
Are you certain? Because if that's a clue, I know what it means.
And what's that?
Keep working with me and find out. You don't have to kill anyone. You don't have to betray your father or yourself. Come on, I know you felt what I felt. The answers are in there. Let's get them. I mean, you translated this language like it was nothing.
If I do help you, what's next?
Thor, get down here.
All father.
Don't do this.
Jesus. Hello. Hello.
Take this. And this stealthy side of the knife.
Oh, hello. That was funny.
Don't promise anything.
Nonsense. Happy hunting. And you, go easy on him. You hear me?
Oh, so Atreus is with Thor. Loki and Thor together again.
Muspelheim? The rest of the mask is here?
It's where
The fire.
dropped us. What do you think? Take that and do your damn job.
I was like, fuck you. You go do it yourself.
So, where are we going?
What the fuck am I supposed to know? All father thinks that you know what you're doing. So do it.
The mask is attuned to Atreus' goal and will radiate light when he is following the correct path.
Weird. Well, it seems like we go through this rock. I was gonna get that.
With those arms?
Burning cliffs.
Let's see what Loki and that shiny
Oh, nice. I got Ingrid. Oh, let's go.
Nice move.
slow going, eh?
We could maybe help.
Thor's like, me help? Nah, I'm good, fam.
Where are we supposed to head now?
Checking. Up there. It looks like there might be a ledge we could reach. If we...
Too slow.
Hey!
Ah!
You can't just grab people like that.
Oh, what else? Throw you?
I mean, fair.
Stay young.
It's like the same arena where you fight in the first game.
Hitting us with fire. Use your ball already.
There you go. Happy Thor.
You know, I took my blood payment from your father for what happened to my sons. But I haven't taken it from you. Yet.
What do you mean?
Later. Don't want to keep the All-Father waiting. Speaking of which, mask.
Right. We need to head through those rocks. Hey, can you...
Can you, like, break it?
Yeah, that.
Just imagine what it can do to bone.
You want to talk about blood payment? What about the giants you killed? They were my family. Thamor, Ronair, they were your people too.
The giants were blight on the 9 realms, and I reveled in every single one of their deaths.
Let's just change the subject. You know, last time Father and I were here, we beat every one of Surtur's trials. Think you could...
Don't play me.
In trying to master that deception and, you know, lying.
Listen, Modi had some problems, but he was my son. And the only reason you aren't mush right now is because of that broken piece of wood.
Look! Clearly neither of us can do this mission alone. And I want to impress the All-Father just as much as you do. You don't have to like me, but we're gonna have to trust each other. Just a little bit.
Trust.
Trust, huh? Yeah, I mean, right?
I need a bigger
All Thor, don't we all?
Good form overall, but not aggressive enough in my opinion.
You're more than welcome to step it up.
This is me trusting you.
Yeah, you said he had good form, Atreus. What now? Cool.
Okay, so where's the mask saying to go?
Funny enough, it's always places where it's like broken stuff. I guess.
Hey, kid, where's the mask pointing us?
The mask is, pulling this way. we'll have to find some way down.
Sure thing.
I wasn't playing you, by the way. The trials are fun. Don't you ever have fun? You're so different from your daughter. She seemed...
Hey, come look at this.
Thor, what the... Ah! Wait, Surtur's shrine.
You didn't die over there, did you?
Alton Lowlands.
No, but I was thinking...
Well, that's your problem.
You think?
The trials are just past that cliff. Might be something you and Duke can do together.
First, we deal with them.
Yeah, fair.
Come on, Lord. Just check them out. What have you got to lose?
That's right. Just try it.
You getting tired?
Not in the slightest.
And over.
Worried?
Not in the slightest.
Don't bother.
Another ogre?
Pew 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 pew.
Could be a little worried. Can I get some help here?
Since we're short on time, I'll humor you.
Once for sure done. I'll humor you. Thought it was just like, I could, but...
The Allfather's waited hundreds of winters. He can wait a little more. It's fun.
Fine. Stay right here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Dolphins dive. Ooh. Yeah, why not? Some skills done. Or such a joker Batman ended the scene.
Keep him busy for a while. Hopefully.
Come on, give me a challenge.
Hey, Ingrid. Do you trust the Ace here? I mean, I know I can't trust them. I just need them to trust me. But that's only gonna happen if they think I trust them. Yeah. There's the shrine. Yappa! Ah! Can't you guys go fight Thor or something? Yappa!
Good stuff. Okay, so I guess we've just distanced ourselves away from Thor, at least, for a minute.
You know, for someone who was trained as a warrior, you are tragically easy to startle.
I didn't. What are you doing here?
A girl can't visit a shrine of her own volition?
You're here for Surtur's marble.
Maybe.
you're out looking for more giant marbles, you know what this looks like, right?
Like the life story of one of our people? And
This
also
is
maybe
cool.
a storage closet.
No. This looks an awful lot like Defying Destiny.
The question is, what are you doing here?
Rewriting my story.
Odin gave that to you?
It's not. Well, he did, but it's not. I'm not working with him. I would never tell him anything about Ironwood if that's what you're worried about. And I'm definitely not serving him.
It's prophecy's words, not mine. I've got a marble to find.
Hey, what is that?
You're welcome to help if you want.
Fine. But are you sure you're up for breaking the rules like this? There aren't any prophecies of you collecting any marbles.
Our endings haven't been written, right? Come on, champ. Oh, hello there. A sentient sword. Huh. Another marble. Surtur's. No soul in it, though.
So he's still out there somewhere. A while back, you talked about how the giants left. You ever
I was gonna be
know
like,
about them?
no.
All the time. They're far from here. Far from Odin and Thor. But I wonder what lands they've gone to. What seas they've crossed. Why?
I want to find them. I'm gonna save my father, and then I'll find them. It's starting. Who is that?
Not Surtur, that's for sure. Look at all that frost.
Sinmara.
Don't think I've heard of her before. And here comes Surtur.
Wow. This must have been some fight.
Yeah, until it wasn't.
They just stopped?
Oh, no. Look, it's because they fought together.
Looks
Ah.
like they even became friends.
Others.
Good friends.
Are they?
Yeah.
I think they are.
Oh, well, that's
Good for them.
good for them.
But it looks like their, love caused them to combine into some kind of huge creature.
Ragnarok.
And then...
Ragnarok destroys Asgard.
Right. I saw that in Groa's shrine.
Well, that was something. Oh, hey, remember the snake we put that soul in?
Can't really forget that.
I saw it. It's getting bigger. Like, faster than normal bigger.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen.
Huh. I'm gonna hang back here. Don't want your, friend to see a giant he missed.
Of course. Just be careful. Please.
You too, Loki.
Hey, Ingrid. Think Thor died from...
You thought you could defeat the god of thunder?
Oh.
Ah. Maybe not. Yesterday I accidentally swallowed some food coloring. The doctor says I'm okay, but I feel like I died a little inside. Good stuff.
Of course.
I admit, that was mountains of corpses by the time I finished. Cut down like lava ran red with their blood. Through it, Will.
Great. You want to help down here?
Wouldn't think you'd need my help if you beat all those trials. Or did you just watch your father do it? Hey, what's taking so long?
I'm just a kid, alright? Well, teenager. That's kind of a giant, but God. I don't know. It's just taking a while, okay?
You wouldn't believe the scores of these things I just killed. It was glorious. I think you're right. Thrud wouldn't love her. She'd be faring better than you, at least.
I hope we don't have to fight her. I'm a little bit sad if we have to fight her. Ow. That was a hit. That was a hammer to the head. Oh. Oh, where? Oh my god. Another one. Ow. Ow.
You could have done that at any time.
So, where to?
Let me check. Looks like we need to head through that gate. Thor?
Ain't that impressive? Real god stuff.
You are a god.
You're damn right.
You're damn right. I love that. I was just like, I'm a god. You're damn right.
It's here. This is the spot.
Well, where is it? In the lava?
I don't know. No! Ah! Damn it!
Some advice. Sticking your hand in lava is never gonna feel good.
Hey, Eckert. How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's better that way. Alright, let's get out of here. Oh. Don't try to play me again. You're an okay kid. You're still a giant, and I'll revel in killing you too.
Fair. Fair. Why do cows not have toes?
Loki.
They lactose.
The rift got brighter. Look, you did it.
Look, one of these phrases is complete now. We can read it all.
But you can't translate it.
Not yet.
How you doing, Eckert?
I think
Good to
if
see
we can
you.
find the rest of this, we can use it to look into that without, you know, losing an eye or worse. Look at this. We make a good team. Don't we? Don't we? Make a good damn team?
Just like you and Baldur.
You both behave out there?
Thor was really great. I learned a lot from him.
You learned something from him? Really now? Okay. What did you teach the kid?
Nothing. What could I possibly teach him?
Exactly. I was wondering where that went. Actually, I had a pretty good idea.
Jason's like, there it is. I stole it.
Change of heart.
I'm not really sure why I came to Asgard, but I realize now it wasn't to be a spy. I need you to know you can trust me. And if I'm gonna help you take this to the end, I need to be able to trust you.
And trust is earned. I get it. Take this, figure out the rest of it. If you're staying, that is.
You're gonna tell me what you're really looking for in there.
Translate that, and I'll tell you everything. And on that, young man, you can trust me.
Ooh. So we're gonna be stuck here for a little bit then. I mean, that's fair. Makes sense story-wise for Atreus to be stuck, like, kind of be here, though. Oh, wait a second, noise. Are you still in work today, or you got the day off? Oh, you're playing the accuser like a dragon. Ooh, nice. How's that going?
you're back.
Oh. Hello? Dude?
How was it? Did Father behave himself?
Yeah, I mean, better than I would have expected, I guess.
Is that the sword from Grandfather's study?
Oh yeah, her name's Ingrid.
Hi, Ingrid. Wow. Allfather must really trust you. Well, glad you survived your first day.
Hey, me too.
Tomorrow, we talk about Valkyries.
Definitely.
How deep is Atreus gonna go down now?
This has been a weird day. Exactly. Huh. Nicely equipped. What needs work?
Nice. Fully upgraded bow. Let's go. Guess we just chill. Meanwhile, that's interesting, my little changeover, the knife changeover.
Good morning, brother. No news, I'm afraid.
I have a plan.
Do you now?
I'm gonna go to Asgard. I'm not gonna punch Odin's fucking lights out.
The Lords. You found them once. Could you do so again?
I could try, but I don't see how that would help.
They are the fates of these lands, are they not? I would know what they know.
You may not find them cooperative.
As long as I find them. Where do we search?
Midgard. But if Atreus is in Asgard, there's no getting him back without an army. We should be raising one.
Yes, nothing like a catastrophic war to improve the situation. The boy seems quite capable. Perhaps if you simply give him some time.
You are not free of blame here. You encouraged his foolishness, his confusion. I do not seek war. But if Odin has stolen my son, do not doubt the lengths I will go to.
Your nature has always been clear, Kratos. But you, Freya. War is a first resort. That's not the Freya I knew. I hope the Norns can give you the counsel you need. Perhaps mine is no longer of use here.
Tyr, stop. This is no time to divide ourselves further. Come, sit, please.
You have been quiet.
Frankly, I'm surprised you, of all people, would seek out fate. But your instincts haven't let us down so far. Let's find the Norns.
I think he knows. He knows. He knows. He knows. He knows.
Who am I to offer him counsel? I only hoped to help the boy find his answers. And I failed. What's my role in all this now?
Hey, Sindri. Ooh, I can upgrade. Ah, okay. Upgrade. Oh, I can upgrade one of the grips. Midgard's Honor, Vanaheim's Honor, Vanaheim's Fortune, Halheim's Essence, Remedy of the Bifrost. The level attacks against enemies will cleanse small amounts of Bifrost from Kratos' health bar. Ooh, that's actually quite good. That's quite good, actually. I mean... Hmm. Okay, so let's upgrade the... grip. Level 5. They're both level 5. Okay, we'll go. I think we'll go with the Blades of Chaos because the Blades of Chaos are only level 3. Do that.
Does it hurt?
Oh, this? Only when I worry.
Oh shit. Oh yeah, because Atreus fucking bit him, didn't he?
Hang on! I got something for you. Sindri!
Coming!
Before you go traipsing off into the dawn, I thought you'd like to have this back.
Oh, the shield.
Well, don't go getting too cheery about it. But you're welcome.
I've collected what we need to find the Norns. Shall we go?
Guardian shield. Shield fit for balance. Okay, that's level 4. Okay. A shield gifted to Kratos by his beloved wife Laufey, wielded by the just.
Madam Neathog? Madam Neathog, where have you gone?
I suspect we may have consequences to look forward to.
Oh yeah, because we fought Needhog, didn't we?
Ah, Master Kratos, my
The
apologies.
Tusker.
Madam Neathog's disappearance weighs heavily on my mind.
Yeah, about...
Less a friend than another long-time tenant of the tree. She was here even before I arrived, and that was ages ago. To even think something could keep her away from her babies. Terrible, just terrible.
We're not going to tell him? Yeah, we're not going to tell him. Cool. Yep, let's not. I think it's best if we don't tell the squirrel. So Midgard, we go to so Eyes of Odin. Oh, we can travel to Muspelheim now. Oh, nice. Okay, so the Crucible, we can do that now. The Elven Sanctum. Oh. Oh yeah, didn't Mimir say something about? Yeah, let's go to Alfheim. Let's go look at this Elven Sanctum. Yeah. Fine. Before we go chasing fate.
some new blueprints. I think you'll find them useful.
Thank you. Wait, I need honed metal. Even if I'm level 5, I lose 14 runic.
What can I make for you? Anything more to discuss? Let's see.
Okay, let's go. Let's go find this elven Bobby.
Mimir, you may continue. About Freya.
Oh, yes. Well, Aesir grew all too easily impatient with the subtle agricultural magic Freya had offered to school them in. So when things went wrong, they blamed their teacher.
So Freya was a guest when Odin burned him?
Not exactly. Odin didn't mind locking Freya up. He saw the potential of the magic and wanted to know more than how to improve crop yields.
Wait. Let us look this way.
Much of the sand has been cleared away, but another storm rages beyond that pass, which must mean...
Another Hafgufa.
We love...
It looks as though the Light Elves sealed off this section of the barrier.
We love Hafgufas.
Luckily for us, a very considerate goddess has enhanced our magic chisel, and we can unseal it.
My, that is lucky.
My.
Forbidden sands lay beyond.
Contested territory, according to Bela, and another storm to endure.
Yata. Okay, so we've got a little navigate, and then there's another storm.
I remember when Freya and I traveled to this realm as children. The desert
Well,
was
Mr. Gateway.
healthy and full of life back then. I can't help but fear that era has ended for good and our efforts here are futile.
It's a fair concern. Healing this land will take more than a pair of singing Hafgufa. But I have to believe in the long run, we're doing right by Alfheim.
Forbidden sands.
Well, best we start looking for a way underground.
Keep a lookout for a cave!
Guess we can't go that way. Songs of the Sands. Guess I can't go in there because of the sand. Oh.
Jewelry.
Oh? Put it on one of my horns. Let's see if I can pull it off.
No.
No. No. Search for clues about elven history. Okay, yeah, we'll do this then first. I thought we might not be able to do this because of the sand, but that's fine.
An elven library.
An archive of knowledge.
No sign of the Light Elves.
For now.
Maybe they've left for the day. We can browse at our leisure.
I highly doubt that, Mimir.
Yeah.
Oh, silver tier complete. Historian. Nice. Okay, so up here we go.
These alone are not enough to end the Elven War, but restricting their access only serves those who wish to prolong it.
Taking a page out of Odin's book.
Aye, quite the advantage for the Light Elves.
Mm. Oh, Forgotten Tower. Treasure map side. No tower, no matter how great, is worth what is worth one's life. What I pick up? Come on, tell me. Jewel of... Oh, I got Jewel of Yggdrasil. Okay, I got more enchantments. That was good that we came back here. Slab.
This book is sealed, but there is an inscription.
Big Veer spoke of an exile of the same name. Odds are he'd like a gander at that particular text.
Who? I guess the light elves are going to turn up now.
Their shared history, poetry, just sitting there, forgotten. What a waste.
Let's get out of here.
Ah, it appears the librarian would like a word.
Hello?
Sounds like she wants that journal back.
No.
No. No. Chris is like, nah, I think I'm good. I don't think so, buddy. Cha 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 cha. Bonk. Immolation. Oh, now you're gonna be on fire now. Ah. Really hurt. Oh. Bonk. Nice. Oh no, you fucking don't, bitch.
I think she's protecting them by hiding all this knowledge away.
Our ally wishes to read this journal. We are taking the book.
Ah. I guess we just leave then? Don't stab me. Please don't stab me. Thank you.
I'm impressed. Thought you were going to end her.
When last we traveled here, after Faye passed, I killed an elf of great importance. The ramifications were dire for his people. I do not wish to make the same mistake twice.
Well done. Look at that. Kratos is learning. Oh boy. Vela and Big Veer.
I see an entrance.
Now we go.
I hope Freyr will appreciate our work here in the desert. I wonder if he knows how poorly this realm has fared in his absence.
Aye. Hearing the Song of the Sands again is a rare privilege, even if it's only a solo act.
Or a duet, once this Hofgufa is free.
Yeah. Very true.
This architecture. It is not of the Dark Elves.
An abandoned ancient settlement by the looks of it. Built long before the light well. Creation?
More hive matter as well.
I'd say we're on the right track then.
So then. Okay, let's just... Oh, what's up here? What is up here? Oh, yes. Good job we went up here. That. Stonewood. Ooh, nice. Oh, handbrake. We'll pause momentarily. Whoa. 2 hours has gone past already. I am. It is warm. I'm not gonna lie. It is very warm. Just imagination. Oh, James has gone live. What do you mean? Oof. No, it's getting better. I'm getting more tied into the story now, I think. It definitely started off slow, but now it's definitely starting to ramp up a little bit. And yeah, I'm definitely more intrigued. You know what? Oh God! Oh, that smells like pepperoni. I can't lie. Definitely passes the taste test, the smell test at least. You know what? That ain't too bad. That ain't too bad, Jax. You know, ain't too bad. I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised how nice they are. Cool. Alrighty. Welcome back from the edge, everybody. That was a quick 3 minutes. That's what she said. Okay, so we go. What?
Locked.
Could I reach it from down here?
Oh, could you? Some hive material.
This kind of hive material is sensitive to sound. How odd.
Interesting. Yeah, that works. Thank you, Freya.
When I last came here with you and Atreus, I assumed the absence of Alfheim's light was an aberration. I didn't realize it was covered by it.
Aye. And as far as the Dark Elves are concerned, it's that light column in the center of the temple that's the aberration. Just look at how old some of these surfaces are. Far older than the light well, or even our trapped Halfgiffer for that matter.
That's quite the empathetic perspective, Mimir.
Well, dangle from a burly god's backside for a few winters, and you'll find yourself looking for all sorts of new perspectives.
I mean, he's not wrong. I'm not jump behind. I guess not. Oh no, I can. Okay, that's a different angle. Okay. was thinking, I was like, there's got to be a way to get to that chest. Wee. Off we go. Right. Off we go for realsies this time. Point. Right.
More hive, but denser. Well, there you go.
Huh. I might have saw it. One way to break it, I suppose.
Enemy behind you, Kratos!
Behind. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's probably a nest. There we go. Ow. And I'm very nearly dead. Stuff. Good stuff indeed. Right. Right. The alpha. Shot. Oh, straight through your Freya. Nice. I'm just gonna grab this and throw it at you real quick. Oh, or miss. That too. I'll just miss, you know, just as you do.
Up there! Grimboy, coming this way!
You fucking bitch.
Coming your way.
Ah, you bitch.
Behind you, look out!
Chonk. Let me just take your. Let me just swipe your head off real quick. And again. You bitch. No, 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 no. Please, senor.
Last one.
Honk. There you go. I'll do.
Light elves don't often travel underneath the barrens, do they?
Territory changes hands often in Alfheim. We'll see.
Big Beard did mention that these ruins have historical significance for the Light Elves. I assume they're only here to keep intruders out.
Well, at least they tried.
I suspect the corpse below would disagree.
Warlord. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Oh, we can hear it. I can hear the thingy. And we need a prismatic stone thing. So we're gonna go down and around. Oh. Yeah, nice.
Good eye. Let's continue, shall we?
Good eye. listen, Mimir. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Sometimes. Sometimes I just don't, and I'm a fool. Fool, I tell you. Wee. Yeah, good riddance, bitch. That's a good song from Hades, actually. Good riddance.
Enemy behind you, Kratos!
Big ball of light coming your way.
That wasn't very nice. Ha 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 ha. No. Oh, fuck. Get out of here, bitch.
I hope freeing these half-goofers will allow them to breed again. It was a dazzling display once. The skies of Alfheim filled with their song.
I imagine it's the lack of fresh light that's caused this pair to grow abnormally large. No use in having babies if there's nothing for them to feed on.
Trying to protect their children from a harsh world. I can relate.
Hey, welcome back, man. Angle. Oh, hang on. Maybe I gotta go up there? Can I get up there somehow? Yeah, because that's just gonna... Oh, hang on, I can climb up here. Never mind. Never mind. Going down rabbit holes of Elden Ring lore. Prepare to have your brain explode when next we play. Oh no. Can I even prepare myself for what you're about, for what you'll tell me? Probably not, right? My brain's gonna go. Oh, nice. Okay. Heavy runic attack for Blades of Chaos, please, please, thank you. No. All right, fuck you then. I will upgrade that because that is quite cool. I do like that runic attack actually for the Blades of Chaos too. I might upgrade that. I don't think I'm gonna get another one. I think I'm gonna get another one that's as good. I mean, we'll see. I'm just warning you, I may get enthusiastic next time. No worries. I appreciate the heads up. Heads will roll. Am I right? Go down here and then... Aha! That was it. Yes! That is our path.
I wonder if these two comprehend the choice they face in the free.
What choice do you speak of?
The life cycle of the Halkidiki. In order to breed, they must pass on their light to their children.
And without light, they will die.
I suppose that's all any of us can hope for in the end. That our death has purpose. That we can live on through our children. Well, given another chance, I know what choice I would make.
And we took it away, didn't we? Because we're bastards. Okay, well... How does one... Don't I can... Oh. You've got to hit them in a... You've got to hit a group of them. Otherwise they grow back. Oh, hold on. That's one.
Good. Almost there.
There's got to be another one of those somewhere, maybe. That's the one I just freed, I think. Oh, congrats on the catch, man. Yeah, I think that's the one, yeah. The one I broke. That was to get into the air. Ah! Oh, maybe the branch moved. Okay. think now I can just go over this side and just throw. Ah.
Well done. Time to set it loose.
Aye, back to the surface then.
This. Oh, no.
Right side!
Nice.
Right side! Incoming right side!
A fight.
Used in many of Freyr's blessings, I imagine.
A reward. Oh, oh. Okay. Yes, heavy runic attack for my. Thank you very much. Let's get out of here. And free the house. Oh, okay. I think it's good.
The fate of these creatures reminds me of a story.
Does it?
There once was a blacksmith whose king commanded him to construct a box that could contain all the evils of the world. But no metal could hold such power. So the blacksmith used the flame of...
Is this a story meant to ease my grief?
Perhaps it is just a story. A way to pass the time.
I appreciate the sentiment, but, well, your stories...
What about my stories?
I wouldn't exactly call them a comfort.
Mimir is the better storyteller.
Now don't sell yourself short, brother. You've come a long way from the days of laconic fables.
It's okay. Finish your story, Kratos.
The blacksmith's daughter was the key to unlocking the box. He died trying to protect her from those who would open it.
Well, at least it's a relatable story.
Box happens to be Pandora's box. Alright.
It appears we've overstayed our welcome in Alfheim.
Yeah.
Watch your left!
Bonk.
Time to end this storm.
A light elf. Kind of complicated. There's light and dark elves. You meet them in the first game, and then but we did something in the first game which made it so that the light elves are the bad guys now. Don't like us. Yes, Freya. This is Freya. Odin's ex-wife in this game. She tries to kill you at the start of the game, but you befriend her. Will be that. Here it comes. Whee!
If my stories are of no comfort, take solace in knowing you did what you thought was best for your son's safety. Even these creatures know.
Yeah, we freed one before, but there was a second one.
I'm not, am I? And now neither are they.
A good jellyfish. Aww.
Incredible.
Yes, that is Mimir.
Wow.
He knows everything, basically, but he was trapped by Odin in a tree. And the only way we could rescue him and use his wisdom was to cut his head off. And then Freya resurrected him.
This land sings once
from
more.
the first game.
We've done good here.
Oh.
No rush to leave yet, is there? Who knows what kind of adventures await us in our freshly lit barrens?
Let's go. That's true.
Amir, what did you mean when you said Freya was not exactly a guest of the Aesir?
I meant by the time they
It is a
burned
PS5 game.
he'd been a prisoner for some time. It was a mob of lesser Aesir, bitter and short-sighted, who tied him up and lit him aflame as punishment for the Sabbath hold that thought. I think it's about to get violent.
Lidor, throw your weapon at it!
I will say the Leviathan axe has definitely packs a lot more punch. For sure. I want to do a dick kick and run in Gathering where I use all the martial arts footwork. That would be kind of cool. Not gonna lie, that would be pretty sick to watch. Where's your map? Oh, I've got the Forgotten Tower. Yes.
Locked. It requires 2 keys.
What are they keeping back there?
That's the beauty of a locked door. It could be anything. Monsters, treasure. Knowing our luck, it'll be a bit of both.
Probably, yeah.
A token.
A badge of honor. The elves made a few of these.
Oh, 5 out of 6.
Outside their dwellings. Show their support for my brother.
Oh, of course it's not bad. Level 6. Whoa, okay. Alright, buddy. Wow. Well, I'm level 4, aren't I? So, probably not a good idea. Oh!
Come on, Kratos! Off your back!
He one-hit me. I was low on health, though. He did one-hit me, though, which was quite concerning. I'll try one more time, but I'm only like level 4, so this is going to be a bit of a pain in the backside. Ow. Oh my god, bro. Fuck no. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that. I am gonna leave that there. Okay. Did I get Vanaheim's power? Was it? Oh no, Alfheim's virtue. Oh, okay. Good luck. Oh, I can repair the Yes, I can repair the amulet now, so I can have more things. Yeah, that's good. That's a good show. That's a very good show. At least we got the treasure map. So that's.
Come on, brother. Let's have it. You mentioned you had a favourite poem from your homeland. What was it about?
A cunning general. A war over forbidden love.
I believe I've heard of this one. Did it involve a horse that was not as it appeared?
Yes, but that is not what happened.
Oh, it's based on truth then. And you were there.
Yes. The poem.
Ooh, what's there? Hang on. Come on. Oh, puzzles? I like puzzles. I like me some puzzles. Laser Chaos is just so cool. Maybe not then? Hold on. Oh, is that? I need Freya to use. How do I get that unbroken then? Something to do with the purple? It goes in there, to be fair.
Sigil arrows won't work on this.
Hmm. Maybe I gotta angle it? Oh. Ah, aha. Uh-huh. Like that. There's one. One chest. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get that. Wait, can I? Oh no, I can't. I'm just out of. I'm just out of range. Okay, so there's gotta be a way to. Really? Is it not? I don't get it. Like, why is it not catching if it's... He's there, isn't she? Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay. Cool. That worked. Ooh, is that the right angle? Hold on. Does that not hit? That's shitty. Maybe... other way around? Ah, maybe. Bingo.
Mimir, I never asked how it felt to lose your head.
What would you
Oh,
have
nice.
me say? That it Tickled?
And hardened war handles. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, I lose cooldown, but Hyperion grapple and pull skills do extra damage and stun. Ooh. Handles forged in fire so hot that once cooled they can never be melted again. Athletics level 6. Can I actually upgrade any of these?
If you wish to derive some satisfaction from my pain, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Kratos swung swift and true, didn't you, brother? I felt nary a scratch.
Shame.
Shame. I wish it did hurt. Right, let's head back to the Rift. Yeah, we're not going to do that just yet then. We might not ever do that, to be honest, if it's 6. Okay, is that business?
Oh, review. What more is there to tell of Freya being burned by the Aesir mob?
Well...
Hold. We will finish later.
Old. I'll do this, and then we'll head back to the Mystic Gateway, and then we'll call it a night. Where is number 3? Oh, fucking up there? Of all places? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Did that not reach? There we go. Nice. Please be an apple. Please be an apple. Please be an apple. Probably gonna be a horn, isn't it?
Oh, lady, I was curious about some of the flora we've encountered on our
God damn it.
travels.
Maximum rage increased. I mean, that's kind of good though for Kratos, because we get more healing, I guess.
Everything, Mimir.
Look, I was just asking.
And you have been told.
Oh, you can say that again.
Alright, so the next one of those we find will be probably, hopefully, for an Idun apple. That'll give us extra health.
Either of you. What more is there to tell of Freya being burned by the Aesir mob?
Well, obviously he survived. In fact, he used the opportunity to escape. But such an affront made war inevitable.
Freyr certainly wasn't the same after that. At least for a while. His carefree ways were replaced with nightmares, paranoia, and lashing out.
Makes sense.
It doesn't excuse what he said at my wedding, but I do understand where his anger came from.
Okay. Mystic Portal. Let's head back to Midgar. Are we? Bird of Fate. Wildwoods. Oh, basically where our house is. Yo.
We are certain Atreus could not still be in Midgard.
I was just there and found no trace. If Odin invited him, he must have provided a way.
No, that is not the only explanation. Tell me where we find these Norns.
I discovered some of their threads near the frozen lake. I stashed one for spellcrafting, but we may also use it to find them. Just remember, they really don't want to be found.
Well, at least things will be difficult for a change.
More difficult than it already is? Maybe? Come on now.
We should take your sled and head to the lake.
Midgard. How I've missed the freezing gusts and constant raider attacks.
Well, that's because they believe Kratos is responsible for Fimbulwinter, and that killing him will end it.
Where would they get an idea like that?
From me, of course.
Of course. We should get down to the wolves, brother.
Yeah, I know. I'm going. Don't worry. Gotta pet him first. Oh.
Come. Quiet. She is a friend. Now.
Better they get this from you. Once the wolves have the scent of the Norns, we'll just need to follow their lead.
I will open the gate. Stop whining.
Their fur is matted. When did you last brush them?
They are wolves.
And matted fur leads to disease. Take care of them and they'll take care of you.
Yeah, Kratos. You jerk.
Brother, what exactly do you intend to ask the Norns?
How I may find my son.
You don't imagine it's a chance to clear up all this mess about prophecy? Perhaps get a second opinion on your alleged demise.
You didn't tell me you had a death prophecy?
When Atreus and I reached Jotunheim, we found a hidden mural.
Oh, and he read it.
Giants. Faye herself had foreseen our entire journey long ago. Who we would meet, who we would fight. All of it, as it happened.
But you aren't dead.
That image was from a time yet to come.
I see. You've never struck me as someone who fears death. That's not the problem, is it?
No. Death can have me when it earns me.
Then maybe it's not the
Ooh, I like that line. Death can have me when it earns me.
future that bothers you. Faye sent you on your journey, and she made sure you'd see that image at the end of it. And you're still not sure why.
I wish to speak of this no further.
Ooh. I'm gonna like make sure they bark, I guess if that means I'm going the right way. Right? No, I'm going the complete fucking wrong way, apparently. Am I? I'm gonna have a shower. No worries, no worries. No problemo. We'll get a shower. Yeah, because I said to go towards the lake. Right? Or no. Oh, no. She just said the wolves will have the scent. Weird. I like that line. That's very cold. That's very Kratos, though. Can have you. Could be. Where else I can go at this point? Right? It's got to be this way. I'm just gonna go this way and just see what happens. Whee! Lake of the Nine.
Now that we are on the lake, how will we find the Norns?
Watch the wolves closely. See how their heads point the way?
Yeah.
Well, the Lake of Nine has certainly seen better days. Raiders have made themselves quite at home. Not sure I've been back to these parts since our great battle with Seekron.
Wrong
She
enemy
speaks
owner.
highly of that fight as well.
You know of that?
She told me all about it when she found me. She believed you could be an ally. Long before I believed it.
The Valkyrie Queen. An ally.
I'm the Valkyrie Queen. As Seekron was stubbornly determined to remind me.
I should have guessed it was Seekron helping you recover yourself. She's so loyal, wise, clever. Oh.
Doesn't take a love goddess to see where you're coming from.
This thread of fate we are tracing.
It's not somebody's life, if that's what you mean. The Norns use it to mark their way when they're outside of the well.
The wolves lead us here.
I just hope the Norns are somewhere indoors and warm. Safe to say, no, I have not missed Midgard in Fimbulwinter. Thank you.
We will see soon enough.
Ooh. Hello.
Watch the fire!
I didn't start it. Promise.
Enemies to your left!
I just think because we're in Midgard, it's probably better if we use the Blades of Chaos as a flame. Come on in. Get out of here, bitch.
The way forward is magically sealed. Something in here is giving it power.
The hilt of a sword.
Brother, I know that sword hilt. Tread carefully. You of all people know how weapons can carry ghosts.
Ooh.
If it does not help us find the Norns, it can wait.
In its hilt of Skofnung, the sword hilt of King. Oh wait, what? Oh wait, can we can make a relic out of that, can't we?
This way. I feel a trace of their illusions here. I can try to dispel it. Oh no.
Oh yeah, hidden door.
There's nothing here.
A false trail.
I'm afraid so. We'll have to see what else the wolves can find.
Typical Nornish mischief.
They know we're searching. I warned you they wouldn't make it easy.
And what the hilt of a cursed king have to do with any of it?
Distraction? Coincidence? Who knows? I suppose they'd say we were fated to find it.
Hmm. Well, it is 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna call it here, I think. Go to 3 hours, so it's probably gonna be ad starting soon. So I will look for somebody to raid. I will do the thing. Ooh, Holly's playing Rebirth. Yeah, let's go read Holly. Holly. She's great. Irish variety streamer, cosplayer extraordinaire. Holly. So we're gonna go read her. I say she's doing her first playthrough of Rebirth. She's on chapter 4. So as someone who's finished it, I will keep my spoilies to myself, as you should as well. And yeah, let's go say hi and whatnot. I won't spoil like the location. I'll just say what chapter she's on, so we know. Yeah. Let's go say hi to Holly. It's been a minute since we've rated her, I think. So yeah, let's go do that. But yeah, appreciate everyone popping in for stream. Good to be back. And I will see you all next time for more God of War Ragnarok, hopefully. Yeah, just start the raid. Such a good game, by the way. Definitely my game of the year for this year. Rebirth. 100%. Yeah. If you wanted to watch me, if you wanted to watch my streams of me playing it, it is on the YouTube. I'll put my socials in really quickly. You can catch me there. And yeah, until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves, stay safe, all that good stuff. I will see you all next time.